No.
Not yet. So this is the course that we're supposed to go through. The last time, I think we went through gaseous exchange. Have you gone through tissue respiration?
Pardon?
Have you gone through tissue respiration before?
No.
Okay. Which, amongst all these, which units have you gone through? Just take a look amongst all these.
Like at school or
here on Yaaka, but also at school.
at school, gaseous exchange. Yes. I think that's what we're doing that anyway. Then Yaaka is also still doing going through gaseous exchange.
You were still going through gaseous exchange even on Yaaka.
Yeah.
Okay. How far had you gone with gaseous exchange in your penitence? How far had you gone? We have gaseous exchange in E6. For me, I don't know if you were attending the classes, but I'd covered almost everything in gaseous exchange.
Yeah.
Especially.
I remember.
Okay. So we had finished gaseous exchange, and I told you guys to do an activity, the assignment.
I think I'd sent it. That one you sent on the WhatsApp group where there was some questions. I think I sent it to you.
Okay. And that's good. But you can always also attempt the ones on here, like this PDF here. You can download it and attempt the assignment, okay?
Gaseous exchange.
So, yeah, we had finished covering gaseous exchange. You can always go back and go through on your own and attempt the assignment if you want to. And if you want more questions about gaseous exchange, you can always inbox me on here, and then I send you questions if you feel like the assignment is not enough for you, or if you have covered the assignment already. Okay. So, which unit would you like to cover amongst all these? Which unit would you like to cover next? If you want, we can go one by one. From gaseous exchange.
Go like in the order that's already
in the
there.
order, yeah. Okay. If you want, we can go in the order, or if you have any unit that you think is very, very vital that you would love to cover, we can do that also. I think that was the activity I last gave you to choose which unit you'd love to go for. But since you didn't do it, we can go in order like you have said. All right. Let's see. Who else has joined? Jackie is here. Okay, good. So let me make sure these videos are playing before we start going through the unit, so that internet doesn't disturb.
The first stage of
that one can load. That one too. Okay, yeah, I think we're good. All right, let's go through this unit and see. And then you make sure that wherever we stop today, you can continue from there, and also attempt the assignment, please. Okay. Kristen, that's okay. It's good that you're here. All right. Who can define for us the term respiration? What do you think respiration is? When you hear the term respiration or tissue respiration, what do you think it is? Hope, make sure you send me your number after here. I don't have your number. Oh, I wanted to call you this morning, but I didn't have your number. So send me your number on WhatsApp, Hope, or on email or whatever, whenever you can send it. I had tissue respiration. What is it? What do you think it is? You can please unmute and speak. You don't have to type. Respiration, inhalation and exhalation of gases. Okay, it's good. Who else wants to try?
I think it's the exchange of respiratory gases within the cells of the plant or the tissues.
Okay, exchange of gases. Jackie?
Teacher, respiration refers to the oxidation of food substances inside body cells to produce energy.
Okay, good. All right. Now, you're all correct. It's just that Jackie is more correct, right? So respiration in gaseous exchange is different from respiration in terms of tissues or tissue respiration. What the two have defined, besides Jackie, I think it was Christine and Peter. You have defined what respiration is in terms of gaseous exchange, which is the inhalation and exhalation, right? But in tissue respiration, we are looking at breakdown of food substances to release energy. Jackie just called it oxidation of food, which is also correct. You can call it oxidation or breakdown of food substances to get energy. That is tissue respiration. It also involved gases. It involves gases. The two gases involved are oxygen and carbon dioxide. It is oxygen that facilitates the breakdown, and during this breakdown, carbon dioxide is produced. Okay, so it is important not to confuse the two. In fact, I'm glad that from gaseous exchange, we went to tissue respiration. You would have gotten confused in the near future if we didn't correct that early enough. So tissue respiration involves the breakdown of food substances to get energy, right? And that is right here. So you're breaking down food substances to get energy. It involves enzymes. What is an enzyme? You must have covered this in senior 2. What is an enzyme? Who knows what an enzyme is? Check, is your hand up or you forgot it up? Please make sure you can unmute and speak if you want to. Christian says a substance produced by a living organism which acts as a catalyst to bring about a specific biochemical reaction. Okay, that is very, very correct. All right. So enzymes are biological substances that help in biological reactions or chemical reactions. In fact, biological reactions, not chemical reactions. For chemical reactions, those are catalysts. So these are biological substances or organic substances that help in biological reactions. Respiration is a biological reaction. Breakdown of food to release energy. And it involves these organic molecules that help in the breakdown of the food. All right. The major food that is respired is glucose. It is the primary source of energy in living organisms. All right. So most organisms will break down glucose to produce energy. All right. Now, the form of energy we produce, we call it ATP. All right. Who can pronounce the full name of ATP? It is right there. You can pronounce it for us. Yes, Peter. Could you pronounce that?
Adenosine triphosphate.
Yes, that is correct. Adenosine triphosphate. That is ATP. Okay. So every time you hear the word ATP, it means energy. It's the same thing as energy. In other words, energy is just the physical name of ATP. Okay. ATP is the chemical name for energy. All right. So it works like that. It is this ATP that we make, which is the form in which our energy is stored. Once you break down this ATP, you get energy. So in other words, we break down glucose to form ATP. ATP is our energy storage form. Break it down easily, you have your energy. Now, how do we break it down? We say here that ATP is a highly energy-rich compound formed between a chemical bond between ADP, which is adenosine di. Okay, the change comes here on diphosphate and an inorganic phosphate. So it's a combination of ADP and an inorganic phosphate. For your understanding, for your easy understanding, you can call it pi. So I used to call it pi for me to remember easily. So I know that ATP is equivalent to ADP plus pi. Pi stands for inorganic phosphate. Okay, so this is sort of the reaction to form ATP. You have ADP, adenosine diphosphate, combining with an inorganic phosphate to form our ATP. The reverse of this reaction is the one that gives us energy. So if you broke down ATP to form ADP and pi, that reaction releases a lot of energy. Okay, it releases a lot of energy. And this reaction here involves an enzyme called ATPase. This right here involves an enzyme called ATPase. So that ATPase enzyme is one that acts on ATP to produce ADP and inorganic phosphate plus a lot of energy that your body needs. Okay, Let me pause and you guys can ask some questions. I know these are so many terms in just a very, very small portion. Do you have any questions? Is there something you don't understand here? Maybe something that is confusing you a little bit. Okay, Christine is okay. Peter is okay. Any questions? Is there something you don't understand, the rest of you?
No.
So everything is making sense. If it is, then that's nice. That's very good if you're understanding, all right? Okay, please make sure you can ask questions if you don't understand, but I'm glad that everyone is following so far. So that is energy. That is energy in our bodies. So every time you hear the word energy in your body, think about ATP, okay? Do not think about energy as something mysterious or something that cannot be explained. It can, and we've just explained it. It is ATP being converted into ADP and pi, which results into the release of energy. Okay, and ATP is formed when we oxidize food molecules like glucose. So once you oxidize glucose, you get ATP, and that ATP can be broken down to make our energy. All right. So that energy can be used for very many activities. Okay, very, very many activities. What are some activities that you think energy is used for? Can we list some? You can unmute and speak, or you can type, whatever you want. What are some activities your body uses energy for? We have movement. Kristen says movement. That is correct. Hope says cell division, 100% correct.
It can also be used for regulation of body temperature.
Regulation of body temperature, that is huge. We are going to see that in homeostasis, and we will see it soon. That is very good. Any other? Let's see, who is this typing? This for growth. Hope says growth. That is very, very correct. So yeah, all those functions need energy. I have more here listed: blood circulation, breathing, production of sound, like I'm doing right now, like you guys are doing also over there, transmission of nerve impulses, synthesis of blood proteins, maintaining constant body temperature or blood temperature, which you mentioned, cell divisions, you guys mentioned it, active transport of materials, and then secretion of various hormones, and many others. Okay, reproduction, that is correct. Christine says reproduction. That's good. So all those functions or all those processes are maintained, or they're carried out with the help of energy. And remember, this energy is in form of what? Who can remind us? This energy is in form of what? Let's see who can remember that. Fastest. Let's see who was first. Christian says glucose. Not really. Hope says ATP. That is correct. It's in form of ATP. Okay. Glucose is the molecule that helps us produce ATP from ADP and pi. All right, good job. Good job. I have a question for you here. Tissue respiration is the breakdown of food substances to release energy. Is that true or false? Is that true or false? Let's see. Jackie says true. Peter says true. Hope says true. That is 100% correct. This is a correct statement. Tissue respiration is a breakdown of food substances to release energy. So as you go through this unit, please make sure you answer these, okay? They are live. You can tap on the true answer and then move forward. Okay, good job. Now, here is someone, a part that you need to really pay attention to. It's very easy if you pay attention to it, but it can also be hard if you don't pay attention. Here we have the stages of respiration. So respiration occurs in only 2 stages, all right? We have what we call glycolysis. Let me see, someone has a question. Yes, we are going to watch the video, please. I'm just explaining it before we watch it so that you know what to expect. So Christine, you are ahead of yourself. All right, no, but that's okay. So glycolysis, it involves the breakdown of the 6 carbon compounds, which is the glucose. Okay, glucose contains 6 carbons. So that glucose is broken down into 2 small 3 carbon compounds. So it's like we are breaking glucose in half when we are saying glycolysis. And this occurs in the cell cytoplasm. So that's the first stage. The second stage is the Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle involves the breakdown of the 3 carbon compounds that were formed in glycolysis. Okay, so those are broken down further to release energy. Okay, and this one occurs in the mitochondria. Remember the mitochondria, we have talked about it before, that it is it's like the cell's factory. It makes energy. It's where energy is made. So this energy is in form of ATP, remember? I don't want you to forget that. So this video is only a small summary of what I've said. And since Christine is excited to watch it, let us do. Please let us, make sure you tell me if the volume is okay, if you can hear.
Aerobic respiration is the transform.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, good. That means I'm sharing my volume. All right. This is just a small summary.
Of a 6-carbon glucose molecule into 3 carbon molecules of pyruvic acid. This process, referred to as glycolysis, occurs in the cell cytoplasm and does not require oxygen. Therefore, it is the same in all organisms, both aerobes and anaerobes. The molecules of pyruvate, produced by the process of glycolysis, enter the mitochondrion, where they are transformed into acetyl coenzyme A, or acetyl CoA. This compound introduces 2 carbon molecules into the Krebs cycle. The Krebs cycle occurs in the mitochondrial matrix. It results in the formation of carbon dioxide, ATP, and reduced forms of the coenzymes NADH and FADH2. The last stage of aerobic respiration is the transport of electrons. Hydrogen ions and their electrons, released from glucose in the previous stages, are transferred to a chain of electron acceptors. Electron transport is accompanied by the release of portions of energy that enable the movement of hydrogen ions across the inner mitochondrial membrane into the intermembrane space. The final stage in the electron transport is the production of ATP by ATP synthase. This enzyme uses the energy of hydrogen ions returning to the inside of the mitochondrion to catalyze the formation of ATP molecules. Eventually, electrons and hydrogen ions are transferred to the final acceptor, oxygen.
Okay, here is what I wanted you to pick out from that video. Okay, first thing is about glycolysis. We are breaking down the glucose molecule into two small 3-carbon compounds. We call them pyruvate. Okay, pyruvate. So that's what I wanted you to pick up first. These two molecules are then taken into the mitochondria. Okay, taken into the mitochondria. And in the mitochondria is where oxygen is involved to turn these molecules into ATP. Okay, so that's the summary that I want you to pick out. The rest of the coenzymes and their names, those ones you're going to learn with time. Okay, you're going to learn with time, especially if you decide to take biology at A level. But at this level, it is just in those two cycles and what is involved there. If you want to go and read further and learn those coenzymes, just let me know. I have some videos I can send you. You watch and learn what they are. Okay, so those are the two things I wanted you to pick out from that video. Let's look at the types of respiration. We have the aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Can someone define for us aerobic respiration? What do you understand by aerobic respiration? Who knows what aerobic respiration is or what it involves? Yes, Jackie.
Aerobic respiration is the breakdown of organic food substances in living cells in the presence of oxygen to release energy.
Okay, that is correct. Breakdown of food substances in the presence of oxygen. Peter, you're also correct. It requires oxygen to happen. Christine, yes, you're correct also. This is respiration that requires more oxygen. It's a breakdown of food to release energy in the presence of oxygen, Hope says. You're very, very correct. Aerobic respiration is the breakdown of food to release energy in the presence of oxygen. And this type of respiration produces energy, carbon dioxide, and water. It is the most efficient one. There's a lot of energy produced here compared to the other type. Okay, so it is important to remember that it produces more energy. This is the equation of aerobic respiration right here. We have glucose reacting together with oxygen to form carbon dioxide and water plus our energy. Okay, that is aerobic respiration. Let us look at this summary here and see what we can pick out.
Respiration is just breathing, right? Wrong. Respiration is the chemical process that supplies the body with energy for all other life processes. Growth and repair of cells, muscle contraction, protein synthesis, sending nerve impulses, absorbing molecules and active transport, to name just a few. It happens in all living cells, not just animal cells, but also plant cells. There are two types of respiration: aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic means with air, and so needs oxygen, whereas anaerobic respiration doesn't need oxygen. Let's start by looking at aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration releases energy in cells by breaking down food substances whilst in the presence of oxygen. It is represented by this simplified equation. But don't forget the energy which is released. Glucose is broken down by oxygen to release the byproducts of carbon dioxide and water. Energy is released, which is then used to make a special energy molecule called ATP. ATP is how energy is stored for later use by the body. Aerobic respiration happens all the time in all cells, usually in the mitochondria. Animals get the oxygen needed from the air through their ventilation systems. Plants get their oxygen from the air through the stomata. Do you remember how photosynthesis works? Compare these two equations. You can hopefully see that aerobic respiration works in the opposite way to photosynthesis. Plants produce their food by photosynthesis and then through respiration release energy from it. But don't be confused. Whilst plants do release oxygen as a byproduct of photosynthesis, they don't necessarily take in this oxygen for respiration. They just take in any oxygen from the air. Plants respire throughout the day and night, as do animals, but they only photosynthesize during the day, when there is light available. So this is how aerobic, or with air, respiration works. You just need to remember that glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen to release carbon dioxide, water, and energy. In the next video, we will have a look at anaerobic respiration and how it differs.
Okay, tell me what you've picked out from this video. What special thing have you picked out from this video?
For me, what I've picked is that aerobic respiration requires oxygen and anaerobic respiration doesn't require oxygen.
Okay, that is correct. Any other? The other person who has picked out something? Okay, so essentially this video is just summarizing what aerobic respiration is. And yes, Christine says it takes place in the mitochondria, which is correct. And then Peter says happens all the time and it is required for energy production, 100% correct. So that is aerobic respiration. All right, I have here a question where you're filling in the missing words. As you go through the unit, please make sure you answer this type of questions. Okay. So you can always write in here, click and write in here the correct answer. Okay. So I will expect you to do that as you go through the unit. Hope says the equation of aerobic respiration is the opposite of the equation of photosynthesis. Sort of, yes, sort of. It's almost the same, but just opposite. The other one involves carbon dioxide, okay? Involves carbon dioxide, making glucose. Oh, sorry. All right. So here I have an experiment to demonstrate living organisms use oxygen in aerobic respiration. And if you were to carry out this experiment in the lab, what you would need is a conical flask, delivery tube, beaker, sodium hydroxide solution, water, germinating seeds. And the procedure is some germinating seeds are placed in a conical flask in which a test tube containing sodium hydroxide is enclosed. A delivery tube is then connected to the conical flask with one end dipped in a beaker containing water. The setup is left to stand and observations are made on the level of the water in the delivery tube. So here you're just trying to understand or ascertain whether if that living organisms use oxygen in aerobic respiration. So you have the germinating seeds, okay? You have potassium hydroxide solution or sodium hydroxide, whichever you use, and you have a delivery tube and then water this side, okay? What you'll observe is that after some time, water is seen to have risen in the delivery tube, okay? Meaning oxygen is used for aerobic respiration, okay? So that would be the essence of the experiment. As seeds respire, they use oxygen and produce carbon dioxide. However, the carbon dioxide is absorbed by the sodium hydroxide solution or potassium hydroxide. Thus, it's not added back into the air in the flask, as there is increase in the original volume of air. So in other words, you have, in this experiment, you have seeds using the oxygen available in this air, okay, to produce energy, but also there is production of oxygen, right? I mean, carbon dioxide, not oxygen. They're using the oxygen available to produce energy, and there is carbon dioxide produced from the process. This carbon dioxide is absorbed by the potassium hydroxide. What that results into is a vacuum or decrease in volume of air around this flask. And if there is decrease of air here, that would mean that for compensation to occur with this small vacuum created this side, water has to rise through the tube, okay? It's the same process as the way you use a straw to suck out, let's say, if you're drinking Coke from a bottle of Coke using a straw, you create a negative pressure in your mouth or just decrease in volume, and then the soda comes into your mouth or flows into your mouth, and then you swallow it. It's the same thing here. You're creating a negative pressure here or decrease in volume because of the oxygen that is being used by the seeds and the carbon dioxide that is being sucked out into the potassium hydroxide, right? And that causes the water to rise. So that is the explanation of the experiment. Any questions? Is there something you've not understood? Okay, all right. If you have understood, that's good. That's the experiment we can use to determine whether living organisms use oxygen during respiration. And yes, they do. Another experiment is right here, experiment to show that living organisms liberate carbon dioxide during aerobic respiration. So this one is proving that we produce. Christian is saying, remind me what potassium hydroxide is for. Who can remind us what potassium hydroxide is for in the previous experiment? Someone to remind Christian. Let's see.
Absorb the carbon dioxide.
Okay, absorb carbon dioxide. Yes. All right, good job. Thank you for reminding her. So now this one is proving the opposite of what we have looked at. Yeah, Kristen says she gets it now. Okay, good. Are you guys hearing the music in the background?
No.
A little bit. Okay, I'll tell them that those are my neighbors. They're banging music seriously, so I'll tell them to decrease later. Sorry for the inconvenience. Peter, don't laugh. Those neighbors do exist. Christian says, even my neighbors do that. Yeah. Yeah, these ones also do it at night sometimes. Okay. I'll tell them to decrease later. They enjoy music. So now let's look at this experiment. Your mom once yelled at them. Yeah, I know sometimes they are annoying. They play music in the wrong times. And I don't know why people like to listen to loud music. It doesn't make any sense. Even if you listen to it in your earphones, you still the same music. Sometimes I don't understand that, but that's okay. In this experiment, the one that we're now proving that carbon dioxide is produced in this type of respiration, aerobic respiration. Here are some of the things you'll need. You'll need soda lime water, filter pump, toad, 2 delivery tubes, 3 flasks, and corks. And then the procedure, a rat is used as an anaerobe, as an aerobe, not anaerobe, as an aerobe, and the experiment is fixed as shown below. Okay, and it's left to stand for 40 minutes. The purpose of sodium hydroxide is to absorb carbon dioxide from the incoming air. Lime water in the flask A is used to confirm the absence, in fact, the absence of carbon dioxide in the incoming air, and then the lime water in the flask C is used to confirm the presence of carbon dioxide in exhaled air. The filter pump ensures one direction of air. Okay, so one thing you will notice here, you may not see flask C. Okay, this one I had to find a diagram that was coming close to the experiment, but this one also brings out the purpose of the experiment. So you have incoming air right here, okay, into this flask A, and you have soda lime here to make sure that carbon dioxide is absorbed. All right, so there's no carbon dioxide in the air that is coming here. This air is now reaching more oxygen than carbon dioxide. We assume that all the carbon dioxide has been eliminated by soda lime. So we have a lot of oxygen coming here for our rat or toad or whatever you use. Okay, any small mammal can work. So here in this diagram, it was a rat that was used, even though in our procedure we had a toad. So this mammal here will breathe in the oxygen that is coming, okay, use it to respire, breathe out the carbon dioxide, okay. For 40 minutes, this experiment takes place, right? To eliminate the fact that someone might assume maybe the carbon dioxide was already there in the mammal. So it takes 40 minutes for that reason. And we see that the air that this mammal breathes out is reaching carbon dioxide because the lime water will turn milky, right? And that is the confirmatory test for carbon dioxide. So even when we see the observations here, we see that lime water in flask B right there turned milky, while in flask A it remained clear. Okay, so there is no carbon dioxide here, but in what the mammal breathes out, we have found carbon dioxide there. Okay, so that's it. That is the experiment. And in conclusion, we see that living organisms give out carbon dioxide during respiration. That is the experiment. Any questions? Any questions on this?
No.
No.
Okay, good. Very good. So that's it. That is how we can prove that carbon dioxide is produced. So the next thing would be looking at anaerobic respiration. And with that, let us watch the video. Please make sure you do such exercise. This is also an exercise where you'll point at this. So after here, go through this entire unit. You'll point at this thing here. There is a question there. Okay, this is called a hotspot. Point at it and click. You'll see a question there. It's about the experiment I've just explained. But for now, let's try to watch this video. This will be our last part, and then you can go on and do the assignment and also go through the unit, answer all those questions that we have seen.
You are running a 1,500-meter race. Breathing deeply to get the oxygen so that you can respire and keep up the energy supply to your muscles. Your muscles keep wanting more and more energy, but your lungs can't keep up. Do you have to quit the race? No. In the respiration video, we discovered the difference between aerobic and anaerobic respiration, and then looked at aerobic respiration in more detail. Sometimes animals and plants can't get enough oxygen to respire aerobically, such as during intense exercise, but they still need to respire to survive. After all, everything relies on respiration for energy. Luckily, there is a backup plan: anaerobic respiration. In this video, we are going to have a look at anaerobic respiration in both animals and plants. Starting with animals. A cheetah sprinting to catch some prey cannot take in enough air and blood around the body fast enough for aerobic respiration. The heart and lungs can't keep up, so anaerobic respiration is carried out instead. Here is the generalized equation for anaerobic respiration. See how it differs from aerobic respiration. There is no oxygen involved in anaerobic respiration. It is much less efficient than aerobic respiration, and much less energy is released. This is because the glucose is only partially broken down. Another problem is that lactic acid is produced. This is actually a poisonous chemical that if it builds up in the body, the muscle stops working and you get a muscle cramp. You can only get rid of lactic acid by taking in oxygen again, and thus replacing the oxygen debt. Oxygen is needed to break down lactic acid, turning it into carbon dioxide and water. You know how you breathe deeply after intense exercise? This is your body replacing the built-up oxygen debt. So that is how anaerobic respiration works in animals. What about in plants? The oxygen supply can run out for plants too, such as in waterlogged soils. This then forces plants to have to carry out anaerobic respiration, as they too need to respire constantly. Here's a generalized anaerobic respiration equation for plants. Notice how instead of lactic acid being produced, ethanol and carbon dioxide is made instead. In yeast, this process is called fermentation, and it is used to bake bread and brew alcohol. Ethanol is the alcohol found in beer and wine, for example. And in bread making, it is the carbon dioxide that is useful. The bubbles in carbon dioxide help the bread rise by expanding the dough. So you should now know that when our heart and lungs cannot keep up with the oxygen demand, or plants do not have access to sufficient oxygen, we have a B plan: anaerobic respiration. This is when the glucose is broken down directly, but it produces much less energy than aerobic respiration, which is why it's the second choice. And in animals, it produces lactic acid as a byproduct, which causes muscle cramps, and so we end up with an oxygen debt which needs repaying after exercise has stopped.
Okay, Hope asked about the use of Soda lime here, we said it is to absorb the carbon dioxide from the incoming air. In 1 minute, can you tell me what you've picked out from this video? Anyone? Anything you picked out? Okay, let's see. Anaerobic respiration is equal to what? Okay, so this was just to make us understand what the aerobic respiration is. So please go ahead, finish up this unit. What is remaining is just understanding anaerobic respiration, the two experiments, okay? And then the differences between the two, and then just the assignments. So download these attachments and do the assignments, okay? There's another video that you need to watch there, and this one also. That's it. Please go ahead and do that. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for attending. Let me see some of your messages here. Partial breakdown of food, hence less energy is produced, and lactic acid. That is very good, Jackie. It's important that you picked out that. Cannot keep up oxygen demands. Yes, and aerobic respiration will be used. Kristen, that is correct. Aerobic respiration is equal to ethanol, carbon dioxide, and energy. Good. Yes, please.
Teacher, how am I going to like do the assignment? Because I don't really know how to do it from the whatever.
You don't know how to do it from here.
Yes.
So, for example, you can do it in your book or anything, and then take pictures and then submit via message. You just come and sign in here. Okay, let me see if I can get this. Where is it?
Where can I find this?
So you come here. Once you've signed in, are you seeing where I am?
Yes.
So you go to messages and write me a message and attach your assignment there. Maybe if it's a picture, or if you've written in a Word document or a PDF or a PowerPoint, you attach it in the message. Okay, I'll see it here. So you create a new message here, right? You search for my name in here in the search bar. Somewhere here, it is where you write the message. It's not loading quickly, so I can't show you exactly what it is. And then down is where you'll find the attachments to attach. You will press where to attach, and then you can attach it. I'll probably create a video for you to show you and send it to you on WhatsApp, okay? When I'm done teaching today.
Okay.
Bye. Well done, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Kindly send me the assignment. The assignment is on the unit, it's attached to the unit. So sign in the system and then do the assignment. Download it and do it.